Guys, Matt here. This is my review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This movie is directed by Gareth Edwards, who previously did Godzilla. The movie stars Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, and Ben Mendelsohn, with Mads Mikkelsen and Donnie Yen. After last year's Force Awakens, I was excited for Star Wars again. I was like, okay, they're going in the right direction. They're telling a good story, but with a modern look in today's technology. So when I found out a movie called Rogue One was coming out, I thought, alright, we're going to get a movie with X-Wings and space battles, so it should be good. But then I found out it was about the stealing of the Death Star plans, and the only two thoughts that ran through my mind were, okay, it's going to be about Kyle Katarn. He was the character from the now Legends books and video games who originally stole the plans, but they've changed that. My other thought was, okay, Death Star, my boy Tarkin's going to be in it. So I saw the movie, and to be honest, it was enjoyable and entertaining, but it wasn't great, but it was still a good story. Rogue One is about a woman named Jyn Erso, and when the Rebel Alliance finds out that she has some sort of connection to the completion of the new battle station, aka the Death Star, her and a group of others must infiltrate a base to steal the Death Star plan so that rebels can stop the Empire. Let me say that Rogue One is not your typical Star Wars story. They don't follow a formula and there is no pattern. And I like that about this movie because I expected it to be different and it was. For example, there's no opening crawl. Also, there are characters in this movie that don't revolve around the Skywalkers. Also, this movie has a very different tone from the other ones. Instead of them being action-adventure, this is more dark and serious, and it's a war movie. Also, the music in this movie is, to me, the weakest part of it, and that's Mike Gracchio, I think his name is. His score kind of sounded like Star Wars, but it was like they weren't allowed to use Star Wars music because it was like 80% of it was Star Wars music, or a theme, and then he would chop it up at the end and be totally different. So that was a real letdown because, except for the final scenes in the movie, there really wasn't any music to kind of, add inspiration or emotion or feeling to any of the pivotal scenes. Also, this movie has a lot of, people can say it's unnecessary, but I thought there were nice little Easter eggs in the movie. It was like revealing the Ark of the Covenant in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It's like, you didn't need to put that in there, but okay, it's nice to see anyways. There are characters in this movie, for example, Vader and another character I won't reveal, that's in this movie that kind of helps fill the gaps between the two films. I'd rather them have characters like that and other little Easter eggs like the two alien characters in the cantina in A New Hope that gave Luke and Obi-Wan a problem, and a couple other things that didn't need to be in this movie, but I'd rather them have extra stuff and not need it than have a lack thereof and really need people like that. The best way I would describe this movie is unexpected pleasure. There was a lot of things in the movie that I didn't expect that actually worked, that I was like, okay, you know what? They didn't follow the Star Wars formula, and that's good. They even tried to use one of the quotes they use in all the movies, I've got a bad feeling about this, or a limb getting severed, or people yelling a certain thing during lightsaber fights. All that stuff could have been there, but you know what? They chose not to. They chose to stand alone, and that's what this movie really did, is it stood alone from the other movies. This is the first anthology movie, so it had every right to be different. From the music, the only other gripes I had with this film was that there were a lot of slow portions that could have probably cut down maybe half an hour of movie, but also there wasn't enough dedication or backstory to some of the characters that made you really feel for them. Now, there's a book that was released called Star Wars Catalyst, which was like the prequel to this movie. It explained Jyn, her father, and his relationship with Orson Krennic, as well as Krennic's ambitions and what he wanted to do, how he wanted to serve the Empire, and how he didn't like Tarkin. Stuff like that really would have worked had they included it in the movie, but because they didn't, I kind of felt like, okay, you have good actors like Ben Mendelsohn and Forrest Whitaker and Mads Mikkelsen, but aside from them playing these roles, we don't really see them as characters. They're really just, okay, this is the main character, this is her father, this is the bad guy, and that was it. There really wasn't any attachment to them, and that's something I felt hurt the movie. Felicity Jones is Jyn Erso. She was the main character, sure, but I really didn't feel any emotion towards her. I felt the emotion came from the overall mission that the group was assigned and what the end game was, and not necessarily, oh my gosh, I feel so good or so bad for Jyn Erso. Star Wars fans knew how this mission, let alone this movie, was going to end. It was still engaging. The last 20 minutes were, in my opinion, the best part of the movie, but there were also some little hidden gems here and there that made you go, oh, okay, cool, or I got that reference, so those are enjoyable. Yes, the music wasn't very good, and some actors' talent is kind of wasted only because their roles are very limited. This movie did connect the dots between Episode 3 and Episode 4. This movie could be, in a way, considered Episode 3.9 if you really wanted to look at it that way, but this movie had some really nice things, like Vader's presence and another presence of a character, I'll just say my favorite character. So, because Rogue One was a little underwhelming, but still a good movie, I'm going to give Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, a B. And with all the anthology and in-between movies that Disney plans on releasing involving Star Wars, I don't expect them all to be great, but as long as they're good and enjoyable, I'm okay with that. So until next time, guys, see ya.